I think the atmosphere in the courts is quite hostile.
Every woman is facing sexual harassment every day in this country, in every profession. But the sad moment is that they really don't want to talk about it.
The teachers in my class, especially when we used to have our Islamiyat and our Urdu classes, they used to utter phrases like, women are less intelligent than men.
Assassination of character, I think that's the strongest weapon against women.
So you're judged by the society, but you're also judged by members of your family.
I'm not being anti-state, but I'm just saying that I want to be truthful.
It's just difficult.
I have to leave this country before this movie comes out.
2023 marked the celebration of 100 years of women in the legal landscape of Pakistan that consists of more than 240 million people. Women account for almost half of Pakistan's population, and studies show that women constitute only 15% of the total judiciary in Pakistan.
Women in law have made remarkable strides in the profession. However, it wasn't always the case. I think systematically and institutionally, we still have a long way to go.
I am Negin, a Danish law student and part of the team at My Law Story. Last year, we traveled to Pakistan to create a documentary focusing on the country's legal institutions. While filming, we noticed a glaring absence of women in the legal establishments we visited. The handful of women we did encounter were remarkably well educated, but had faced significant challenges to attain their current positions. They all urged us to explore the issue of gender equality should we embark on another project in Pakistan. Fortunately, we now find ourselves back in Pakistan with the chance to delve deeper into this important subject. In this documentary, we want to explore some of the struggles female lawyers are facing while raising their voices for gender equality in Pakistan. We are about to meet inspiring and courageous Pakistani female lawyers who will give us a personal insight to their journeys in the legal field and beyond.
My career path was not really decided by me as such to begin with, because I wanted to become a pilot. I loved the feeling of being on top of the clouds. My father played an important role in forming the choices of my career and the subjects that I took. So he was the one who basically told me that I could not become a pilot. So I did go to pre-engineering thinking I am on the way to becoming a pilot. But eventually, then my father told me that no, you're not going to become a pilot. It's not a safe profession and it's not a profession for women. So he gave me three options. One was, I think, either a teacher or a doctor. One was to become a civil servant like him. And the third was to become a corporate lawyer. So I opted for corporate law. So that's how it started. I do understand that Pakistani men are a certain way. And fathers do feel responsible, especially for girls. And I do know he was just trying to do what he thought was the best, and he wanted the best for his girls. But it was, yes, frustrating not to be able to do what you want to do.
Khadija experienced already as a child in school that there were a difference made between genders, and that among her female teachers, there was a perception that women and men were not equal.
The teachers in my class, especially when we used to have our Islamiyat and our Urdu classes, they used to utter phrases like, women are less intelligent than men, women should not be in public spaces, women do not have the competence to go out and work. And it is because they are less intelligent than men, that is why they are not to be given leadership positions. So as a young girl who was at the top of her class, working really hard, just being there and listening to that was something very difficult for me, and which is why I ended up with this habit of challenging whatever norms society as a whole feeds women and men as to what their role should be or what they're capable of. So being that little girl who was so good at studies and everything that she did, and then to hear this stuff and not be able to reconcile between these two extremes was something that would eventually lead to a lot of self-hatred, which I've worked on over the years.
Family expectations and cultural norms regarding girls' education can no doubt be challenging for young girls and women in a patriarchal society, but entering the legal profession is complicated on another level. Today, Homa is a renowned film producer, but her career began in the field of law. During her early years, she faced numerous challenges in her quest to secure employment at a criminal law office.
I try to, touch every big name at that time, door to door, that kindly I want to practice this law.
While there are diverse perspectives, Nida tells about some general hurdles a female lawyer may meet pursuing a legal career.
So in our law firms, there's an unspoken culture of either they're not going to hire female as lawyers, or if they do, then they sort of restrict them to research and preparing legal briefs.
Nida explains what potential consequences might arise when women are not given the opportunity to present cases themselves in the courts.
What that does is that it creates unequal opportunities for them, because when the next day your male colleague or your senior male associate in the firm takes that brief, goes to the court and argues the case around, it is their attendance that gets marked. It is them who get recognized before the judges and their colleagues in the court. And it is their names that gets reflected as being the counsel that represented the client. And so when the judgments come in, they're recognized as the lead counsel. That impacts your chances of meeting the technical requirements for getting your license as an advocate High Court and then the advocate Supreme Court.
The thing I heard that was very painful, and that was thoughtful at the time for me, because they said that obviously that was a pure gender discrimination, that we don't want to keep female lawyers because there's a custom in our bar association that females can't practice criminal law, and the environment of our office is not convenient for the female lawyers because we use abusive languages, we are fond of liquor and etc.
After considerable effort, Homa managed to secure a position at a law firm. However, she faced entirely unforeseen challenges upon joining.
I feel the sexual harassment for first time in my law profession when I first time stepped into the courtroom, and so you can say the first day, that is unpleasant event for me also, because I think every female lawyer experience this every day in the courtroom also and in courts premises. But the sad moment is that they really don't want to talk about it. That is the saddest thing for me. If mostly what I experienced or what I saw in my surroundings in my law profession, that mostly seniors are continuously abusing sexually, mentally, abuse their female associates. Whenever you joined, as I joined the law profession, so the male lawyers, the experienced, the senior lawyers, they try to, catch you. They try to play the games and The same thing I have experienced.
At the workplace, Homa experiences a culture where women are shamed for wanting to practice law, and she is met with a variety of arguments from male lawyers about why they don't hire female lawyers.
We don't keep women. Women make affairs. Women are not meant for this. Women are blah, blah, blah. Women are not good in this. These are kind of the sentences which I used to hear every day, which I used to, or judge is going to praise you or saying, I'm going to give you many cases. You have to go for a dinner with me. That's sexual harassment. When you are going to, present before a court, and there the reader of that court is taking your number that I am going to give you the cases, and he's texting you in midnight.
Are these women really being harassed when you talk about harassment, or don't you think it's just exaggerating? Maybe it's compliments.
Well, compliments, again, sexual harassment, the law defines it as an unwelcome sexual advance. And it's ultimately, if you look at it from the perspective of the victim, it's if it's said in a tone that makes you uncomfortable. And even a compliment in a professional setting may be inappropriate because you're not in a social setting with a group of your friends, or you wouldn't expect compliments being handed down in a professional setting.
Nusrat's father restricted her choices for education, but the social control didn't stop there. Upon completion of her law studies, her father decided where she was allowed to practice law.
There was a decision that was pretty much made by my father. He told me that lawyers are not good people, and there is only one person that he has come across in his career that he thought was a decent lawyer. So he said, if you want to work at a law firm, this is the law firm that you're going to work at.
Nusrat reluctantly follows her father and agrees to visit the lawyer whom her father trusts greatly.
So he brought me to this law firm. Mr. Qureshi, he was brought up in UK. He came to Pakistan with high hopes of making a change. So he was very different. His mindset was very different from Pakistani men and many of the lawyers. And he made a lot of door opening for me, and he stood up for me a lot of times. But that is how I ended up at the firm.
At the law firm, Nusrat's boss, another man in her life, has a clear opinion that the courts are not the right place for women to work.
He said to me, if my daughter was in the profession, I would not let her go to the courts. So I asked him, what do I work on? He said, work on arbitrations with me. And it was his firm belief that I would be wasted in the courts.
Why? Are the courts so bad in Pakistan?
I think the courts in Pakistan for women, now the atmosphere is changing a bit, but generally at my time, the atmosphere in the courts, it was not suitable for women.
Like Nusrat obeyed her father, she follows her boss's advice to work on cases that do not involve visits to the courts. However, even in the office, she experiences resistance from male colleagues.
Even at the firm, I do feel there was a lot of unacceptability. The first case that was assigned to me was a multi-million-dollar case. And I had difficulty getting files from my own colleagues. And eventually when they did give me the files, they scattered the papers on the floor for me to pick up.
Malika Bukhari is a barrister from the UK with Pakistani roots. After practicing as a lawyer in both the UK and Pakistan for some years, Malika decided to use her legal qualifications to improve legislation in Pakistan by entering the field of politics.
I gave up my British citizenship and I left my only son in the UK with my husband because I fundamentally believed that the women of Pakistan belong in the corridors of power. I wanted to represent the women of my country in Parliament. So my representation in Parliament began with me becoming a member of parliament through the seats reserved for women in the Constitution of Pakistan. Pakistan's largest political party and the leader of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister, he gave me an opportunity to represent the women of my country in parliament. I took that decision to actually actively join politics in 2015.
Malika quickly discovered that the conditions for women in politics are not any better than the circumstances they work under in the legal profession.
People think that it isn't, and it never seems so, but when you watch it closely, you'll understand that parliament is a very sexist place for women. Women don't talk about it, women parliamentarians, but there's a lot of sexism within Pakistani parliament. Male members of parliament with impunity. And when I say impunity, I mean it. They shame women. They call out women. They call them names. They humiliate them. They undermine their commitment. They question their ability to be in parliament. They question their what merits their place in parliament. They treat you like unequal parliamentarians, actually. You're a second-class parliamentarian. I always heard about second-class citizens, but then I realized that, actually, you can also be a second-class parliamentarian.
Not only is navigating the legal and political landscape challenging, but Malika spends a lot of energy convincing her family that she wants to stay in politics. Her family was concerned about her safety, her time spent on politics, and the resulting absence on the home front. They believed she was neglecting her husband and son.
If a man wants to pursue his passion, he wants to do politics or he wants to do law, he in a country like Pakistan has a woman at home who's looking after his children. But when a woman wants to do politics in Pakistan and she wants to become a lawyer, then somebody else is looking after her children, and she's the person who is absent from the role which is predetermined for her. That she belongs at home and she has to exercise her role as a mother. So you're judged by the society, but you're also judged by members of your family, by societal norms. So the shift in parenting in my household and the equal allocation of parenting roles between me and my husband is something that I had to juggle with. My husband was very happy doing that for me, but I think all the other women in the house were not happy about me doing that, because they felt that I belonged at home, not in parliament. I realized that I have so many challenges as a woman. I have to also fight my own family.
Malika's father is especially concerned. He wants her to practice as a lawyer, and he warns her about the consequences.
And he felt that you'd already achieved a great career as a lawyer, and this is the right thing to do, and it's a good career for women. It's a respectful career for women, but politics in Pakistan is not a good career for women. It's a career where women don't get respect. It's a toxic place. You have nobody in your family who's a politician, and you will face many hurdles, and you'll end up getting hurt, or end up in a difficult place. And I told him, no, but I want to do this, and I'll do this irrespective of the fact whether anybody in this house supports me or not.
Like Malika, Mehnaz also entered the political scene with a legal background and high ambitions for the country. Mehnaz is a former member of the National Assembly, holding over 25 years of experience in leading national programs to educate poor and marginalized children. Even though she has been in the field of law and politics for years, what happened to her family and her during the elections this year has shocked her.
Never in the history of Zafarwal and Shakargarh, the constituency, a woman, a wife, an elected former MNA, been arrested. There was no violence, there was no abuse, but it was like, we need to take you away. But there was no warrant, there was no crime, there was nothing like that. My husband was arrested, a candidate for the elections, on the election day, which was the 8th of February. So I did the journey for 7 hours to go there. And then I protested in front of the returning officer where the results were being compiled because they wouldn't let us in, and that was a right to go in. I was the only woman in a crowd of 700-800 men who were supporting me. And my son was there, and we did a press conference with other panel members as well. And then we were let in, and I saw rigging going to an extent which I've never seen before.
When women speak out in the public sphere, they do get noticed. Homa has experienced several times how her gender can be a barrier to being taken seriously as a woman when defending a client.
There are some restrictions, even for even the ladies for the talk to their clients, to gauge the clients, to talk about the cases, specific cases like rape, or like sexual abuse.
Homa recalls on one specific incident.
So I was just outside the court, and there was a dispute between two families, a murder dispute, and they bring the whole families, chacha, phupa, taya, and they were outside the court. The other parties' family was there. So when I was entering the court, they were laughing and they were raising the slogans, "Oh, kudi kinke aayen, enuni vakil nahi ladda. Kudi leke aayen." So when I argued the case and I won the case and I got the bail of all my you can say my clients. So when I was coming outside the court, they all were mum and they were silently watching at me, and that was my victory. I think that is the sense, that feeling I cannot share with anyone. The sense of victory, the sense of to prove yourself, the sense that beyond the gender. That's the thing, and that laugh was converted into appreciation. That laugh was converted in a proud moment for me. So that is the thing. I think there are many occasions when I was judged as a female. I think illiteracy is the main root of these judgments, of this kind of behavior, this illiterate behavior.
Mehnaz was arrested on election night for protesting against the conduct of the election, and her husband, who is a candidate, was also detained. Mehnaz was extremely angry and used social media to share her harrowing experience by posting live videos along the way.
Short video messages that I was putting on the X were being picked up by very popular media houses, and in their breaking news and in their election transmissions, they were being aired. And in their most popular programs, that they were being aired and saying that, this is what's going on.
We met Mehnaz a couple of days after the election. She was clearly still affected by the experience. Although Mehnaz was released a few hours after the arrest, the incident has left a strong impact on her understanding of the country's laws and regulations and her position as a woman.
At the time when I was arrested, I realized that there was no law. When they wanted to pick you, they will pick you. And if they found you as an impediment to a process that they wanted to accomplish, they will, push you aside. The energy in my body is like buzzing. Something is buzzing because of this mixed feelings about, I never thought, and I wouldn't like to say that, but I never thought that things can go to that level.
The discrimination in the job market and the traumatic experiences that these women are subjected to has led many of them to reconsider their lives and careers.
At the firm, I did hear rumors about what was being said about me, and eventually I did get to a point where my mom had just passed away, and I started receiving calls about, of course, tarnishing my character, threatening my safety, my physical well-being. I did receive phone calls, yes. There were phone calls, there were emails to people I knew, there were letters in the post box. So there was a lot of stalking, yes. Character assassination is a powerful tool against women, especially women who are on the rise, who are successful. And in Pakistan, it is not uncommon to have crimes of hatred, where someone would throw acid on a girl's face. So at that point, I decided to take a break. I moved away. I took the Fulbright scholarship, and I went to US for 5 years.
While Nusrat left the country for some years, Khadija is currently thinking about moving away from Pakistan to give herself a break, as she is too tired of the continuous fights she has to face as a working woman.
For the longest time, the expectation has been for a woman lawyer to actually have a file and to shadow her senior, rather than, being her own person in court and representing cases herself in court. So I think for me that's the first challenge, to not be able to establish your own identity and then to be referred to as so and so's junior, so and so's associate. Years on end, that's how I saw women who were working before me being identified as so and so junior. So after my LLM, I made it a point that I will not be anyone's junior. I want to establish my own work, whether I do that international development law research work, or whether I practice, whatever I do, it has to be my own. I don't think I can go ahead in this career or proceed or even progress in this career with this constant tag of being so and so's junior, because then I don't have an identity of my own. We need to understand this is inherently a patriarchal system. It's a system made for men. It is not a system made for women. When we look at our adversarial justice system, I would sometimes come home and realize that I don't like the person that I'm becoming in the process, because I'm becoming aggressive, I'm becoming angry, I am always fighting, I am always reacting, because I am working within that system 24/7.
On May 9th, 2023, the ex-Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, was arrested on corruption charges. This sparked protests from his party members and supporters, who rallied across the country. Malika stood by Imran Khan's side and was subsequently arrested.
So I went to prison for 19 days because as a woman, I stood up for my rights and I supported the former Prime Minister Imran Khan in his struggle for a better Pakistan. I think speaking up too much got me in trouble. I think voicing dissent, speaking up, asking people to protest against the arrest of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan ended up me and my other female colleagues getting a detention order. It's a civil order, it's not a criminal case, but it was a civil order. It's a draconian old maintenance of public order detention law going back to the British colonial era that allows the Pakistani government to put you in jail.
In jail, Malika truly experiences being challenged on her values and goals.
We weren't tortured physically, but I think we were under a lot of mental pressure. We were under a lot of psychological pressure, and I think that's worse than physical torture. I think that really breaks you. I think some of us broke, and it broke our will, which is not good. Yeah, I think I felt weak because of, I always say this, that I'm a very strong woman, but I felt like a weak mother.
The most difficult part is the conversation with her family, who are now more concerned about her safety than ever before.
I don't remember my family's numbers, by the way, and I had to find my mother's number. So I called her, and I remember all I could hear was, my mother just screaming, bawling, helpless, and I've never heard her like this. My mom's, very, very strong woman. She's raised 5 very fierce women, so I think she's strong, and we get it from her. And her voice, it just broke me. The manner in which she was crying and shouting, and it was so much. I didn't know. It was just a 2-minute phone call, but I didn't know how to. And she said, "Well, I told you not to do this," So she was literally telling me, "I told you not to do this. I knew this would happen. Look where you are now. Are you okay? Please tell me." And of course, I told her all good things. I was like, "We're fine. We're getting great food. I'm safe. We're in prison. I'm with other people." And that phone call, I think I felt very weak that day. Just your parents. It's okay if it happens to me. I'm happy to deal with prison, but I don't want my family to be impacted by my political choices. It's wrong. They didn't sign up for it. I signed up for it.
After her release from jail, Malika announced resigning from party positions and distanced herself from the party. At the press conference, Malika said that she wanted to spend her time with her family and concentrate on her profession. She is currently taking a break from politics.
I never got enough time to do law in the manner in which I wanted to do law as a barrister, as an advocate, as partner of a law firm. So I feel this break will give me that much needed opportunity to pursue a good legal career in Pakistan, but also in England.
I came back after my SJD, which made me the first woman in Pakistan to have a SJD and the fourth Pakistani. So I have come back much stronger and as a role model for many other women. But my thing was that if people keep going away from Pakistan and from countries like Pakistan, if they start settling for an easier life, things in countries like these, they are never going to change. I think I got married to the profession, and I generally categorize myself as happily unmarried rather than unmarried.
Where we stand today, I cannot say that the system is made for women. This is a very adversarial, patriarchal system, and it is difficult for women to function within the system, especially women who don't want to become aggressive and angry and fighting all the time.
We arrived in Pakistan during the hectic election time and met these amazing women who helped us understand the status of female lawyers. Pakistan is one of the few countries with the lowest number of female lawyers and judges. According to a recent study, out of more than 200,000 lawyers in the country, female lawyers make up only 12% of the fraternity. Shockingly, our research showed us that not seeing women in legal positions is just a minor issue compared to the fact that Pakistan is one of the most dangerous countries in the world for women when it comes to sexual violence, domestic violence, dowry deaths, acid attacks, honor crimes, etc. We also found that only 24% of Pakistani women are employed. Research states that 73% of Pakistani men do not find it perfectly acceptable for women in their family to work outside their homes. All these are disturbing figures, but we also found glimpses of light in the darkness, meeting these strong and courageous women. We believe that if united, the Pakistani women in general and female lawyers in particular will be able to shape equality in the future.